Well, as mentioned earlier, President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced religious leaders will be recognised as essential frontline workers from the 1st of June, that's Monday, when level 3 of the lockdown kicks in. From next Monday, religious gatherings will be allowed but limited to 50 people or less. Religious leaders have responded positively to the announcement. And to discuss this further this morning, we're joined by Jama-ah Party Leader Ganief Hendricks. Good to have you. Thanks very, very much for joining us on the programme.
Good morning.
What was your reaction when President Cyril Ramaphosa announced that religious leaders will now be able to be recognised as essential workers come the 1st of June?
We jumped with joy, and we thought that the president had the wisdom of Solomon in making that decision.
That's great. I mean, did it come as a surprise, I imagine? Did you have any sort of information into the negotiations and the talks that were happening behind the scenes? Talk to us about that.
It did not come as a surprise because, as you know, earlier in the last week, he had a meeting with political party leaders. I had 6 minutes to make a presentation to Mr. Zuma and the president and all the political party leaders. The president's response was that our application to ease the regulations was logical, and it was all about the numbers game. And we then found a silver bullet because 50 people were allowed to attend funeral ceremonies in the mosques, in the temples, and in the churches. And we had gave some input with regard to that, under level 5. And we felt that the same terms and conditions, will be logical, will make sense if the president eases the definition of a gathering and not make a gathering in a place of worship prohibited. So it was all about the magic number 50. We lobbied the political party leaders, we lobbied the ANC Big Six, we lobbied 200 Muslim organizations. The president himself had a meeting with religious organizations, and our contacts with pushed the idea. But, Al-Jama was the one that came up with the silver bullet, the 50, and I think the president managed, to push it through, because the initial response from the nerve center when we applied after 10 minutes was a regret letter. We then asked the chairman of COFTA to tell them to apply their mind properly. They then wrote back to apologize and said, we'll apply our mind properly. That is the legal department of the nerve center. So a lot of lobbying and work went on since we had a meeting with the president. And I know that he would have liked to make the announcement earlier, but they had to wait today to consult all the structures. And alhamdulillah, we also had Qari Saab of Muzintu making, the itikaf, which is a prayer in seclusion for 10 days. He was praying for us, and I think Allah answered his prayers.
So for those that don't understand, perhaps you can explain a little bit about the role of a religious leader being now able to actually go to individuals' homes in the position of an essential worker. Is this correct? How is this going to work?
No, I think that they will be able to do so. Maybe a special permit is necessary for the visit. Even the police, if they want to arrest someone, they need a permit. So I'm sure that there will be opportunities, because it's important that when people are on their dying bed, that the last rites are read to them. That is what everyone wants. And so I think that the president has been very flexible. The council, overseeing this has been very flexible. The cabinet, they apply their minds properly. And, I'm quite confident. However, I'm very worried now that this easing of the regulations will lead to more infections. So we are only going to encourage that it be used for our compulsory prayers like Fridays, like Eid. The next Eid is for the Hajj. The 5 daily prayers, I think, should be restricted to 10. And then we've already planning to roll out 100 sanitation booths. So when you come to a madrasa or a mosque where prayers are going to be performed, you go through the sanitation booth. There's a temperature warning. And just before that, you go to a table where you give your name, your ID, so we can trace any people, afterwards. And so all the checks and balances need to be put in. I think there's now a responsibility on all the religious leaders, on the chairmen of the mosque committees, to appoint a health and safety officer, to contact Al-Jama, and we will give them the protocols they need to follow, so that we can convince the nation that we were very responsible when they made the concession to allow us to pray for our dead in a mosque, in a church, in a temple. And we'll even be more responsible now that the way we worship is not being controlled by the government. We can decide, what we want to worship in the church, what our congregational prayers are. And I just hope, that those councils of theologians in the Jewish community, in the Muslim community, will have a change of heart and allow us to do so, because they have vehemently opposed it. One or two of the big Sikhs opposed it. They wrote to me this morning. And I think that we will set an example that there won't be any infections arising out of the easing of the regulations, which the president, like I said, in his Wisdom of Solomon, has now put forth. The country needs prayers. The Muslims make a special prayer, which is called the Qunut. On Friday, we will make the Qunut. And, we do that for disasters, for water. And inshallah, I'm sure that the Qunut on Friday at all our mosques, will work, and God will listen to us. In the town of Umzinto, where there are 1,500 Muslims, you may want to ask me, how are you going to do it? They've already worked out a master plan. They've got a master plan to accommodate everyone to perform the Friday congregation compulsory prayers. Yeah. And that's a model for the whole country. So every town will have its own plan, but they can contact Qari Saab in Umzinto, who runs a school where they memorize the Quran. Hundreds of children memorize the Quran, and thousands have graduated under him. They will be able to give good advice. So Umzinto in KZN is taking the lead in the country. They are ready for Friday already.
Fantastic. Ganief, let's quickly ensure that the message you're giving is not this Friday. I hope you're talking next Friday, not this Friday.
Yes, of course. And this Friday, it is from the 1st of
June, so it'll be the next Friday. Just very quickly, I mean, the worry from a lot of people is that, firstly, people that, the kind of profile of people that do go to places of worship, and we do know that it's everybody, but particularly the most vulnerable would be the elderly, those with existing medical conditions, those that are, seeking healing from places of worship. And we do know that this does happen. And there is a worry that these people will be more vulnerable in places of worship. And also, how do you restrict only 50 people coming in? Where do you draw the line? How is that going to work? If you could be quite quick in your answer.
Yeah, like I told you, we've got the plan for 1,500 in Umzinto. And as far as elderly people is concerned, they believe that the time of death is in God's hands. They have no say over it, and we must just accept it. So what we've done is we've asked the Muslim Medical Association to have a table at the mosque and check everyone out before they go into the mosque, and also the incubation booths. If that is in place, we don't have a quarrel if even elderly people attend the mosque, because they deserve it the most. But, we need to be putting all the checks and balances. And now the Muslim community must show that they are a responsible community. You see, in our religion, the Amir makes all the decisions, and no one objects to it. So he will choose who comes to a particular place of worship in a particular area, maybe 10 streets away. There may be another place from the mosque. And he decides, the Amir of that particular area or of that mosque, he decides who the 50 people is, and no one will argue. It's a matter of faith.
All right. Well, there you go. That's a great perspective coming from Jama-ah Party Leader Ganief Hendricks, giving us the point of view regarding the President's announcement last night that religious leaders will be recognized as essential workers come the 1st of June. And, of course, that giving us a perspective from the Muslim community and now mosques being able to operate as well. Let's take a quick break. Valen will bring